All right, we're back again. Driver Appreciation Week, interview number 4. And today I've got the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Robert Dreyer. Robert, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. I think we've talked before, and truck drivers got a special place in my heart. I just want to start by saying thank you so much for keeping this country moving, brother. I really appreciate you. And a lot of people appreciate you and Mary, which hopefully I'll get an opportunity to interview Mary as well.
She can hear you. She's here.
So to start things off, how long have you been a truck driver?
I started in March of 2001.
Okay. So we're
So 22 years.
22 years. Wow. And I know where you drive, okay? But what kind of cargo do you haul?
Anything it fits, it ships.
All right. What are you hauling right
Anything.
now? Because you're in the passenger seat, so Mary's driving. So what are you hauling right now?
Sailboat fuel.
Nice. And so, over your career, like, what's been the most interesting thing that you've pulled?
Most interesting. Uh, Drugs.
I was going to say, I hope you're talking about pharmaceuticals.
Well, yeah.
Um,
But I mean, that and we carry some women undergarments and we go through like the ag centers and they ask, what are you carrying? And you tell them women undergarments. They kind of look at you funny. And you have to tell them underwear and panties. And they're like, what?
Hey, man, I'm always like, listen, it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. If you look around from everything you've got on to everything in the room you're standing in, it got there on a truck. It's just that simple. So everything's got to pass through on a truck at some point.
More than once, usually.
That's right.
Not many people get raw products. Now you can pick up like you take your tennis shoe. If United States made shoes or much anymore, how many different materials is in one item?
Well, and then you got
I
it.
mean,
It's sometimes it's on multiple trucks to get to the. You got it picked up from the port and it goes to the distribution center. From the distribution center to the Walmart or the Target or wherever. I mean, sometimes it can be on 2-3 trucks before it ever makes it, into your shopping cart.
absolutely. Yeah, I transported Harley Davidson forks, and the thing is, the material went to it went to the manufacturer that was building them. They had to machine them down to one, and they machined them down to one point, and then we transported them to Harley for they to machine them again.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that it's one of my missions is to give the drivers a voice, but also bring visibility to the industry, to the public, so they can know, like, it's not like it just magically shows up places, like y'all enable our way of life. And that's just the truth. So why did you get into trucking?
Well, I was an electrical engineer, and uh, me and my ex-wife lost our job with a week within of each other, and I was talking to some guy basically about what kind of money he was making, and I guess you would say in the end it's all about money. And within a week we were going to school to learn to be truck drivers. My father was a truck driver, and back in the day they didn't have the nice luxury rides that we have now. And I will say they were the real truck drivers because they had to rough it and it beat him so hard. He was driving a cab over. It beat him so hard it caused his kidneys to go on him. It killed him.
Yeah, I grew up in some of those classic trucks, the, late 70s International Trendstars, the GMC
Yeah.
Astros, the Kenworth K100s, and that was back, that's what my granddaddy and my daddy drove, and that was back before Air Ride. And that was, and
Oh yeah.
the condition that they all got was slap back, like that seat would just slap you to death. So I can definitely I mean, I can't personally relate to it, but I'm familiar with it, and I also remember, this didn't happen to my daddy, but my granddaddy, I remember him having to get a knee replacement, his left knee, from all the pushing that clutch all those years,
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So, right now you're in a Freightliner Cascadia, but what's been your favorite truck that you've driven over these years?
Unfortunately, I have to say the Freightliners, they seem to be more dependable. Everybody always talks about the Peterbilts being the Cadillac of the road. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not since I've been in the industry. They're all disposable. You sit 5-6 years with them, they're basically, you throw them away and back to get a new one. It just, we put so many miles on them as a team. It's, if you get 5 years out of them, you're lucky.
I'm no truck expert at all, but like I look at the Cascadia, like the Honda Accord of trucking. It's like,
Pretty
it's
much.
just, I mean, because they're available, in spades, and you see them everywhere, and they seem to last a long time, like you were saying. So, what's your favorite part of the country?
Outside of political views.
Outside of political views, what's your favorite part of the country?
Utah and Colorado is probably the two most gorgeous states in the union.
Yeah, I was talking with a buddy yesterday, and his brother lives in Moab, and I've never been there. But I've got some buddies who went in there and they rented those side-by-side dune buggy things and went out into the desert and everything. And that's something I remember seeing the videos and stuff. And I thought, man, I want to do that one day. And he's like, dude, the last time I went there, it was very hard for me to leave, because he has one of those remote jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, man, I seriously thought about moving there. Just with one experience, I thought about moving there. So
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine that goes out into Colorado during the summer and works the river rafting. And he says, I do it because I love it.
yeah,
He says it's a blast.
yeah. What's your so this next question, it's two questions, but like, you've been doing this 20 plus years. What's the craziest thing you've seen on the road and the craziest thing you've seen off the road?
That's whew, I wish I would have been prepared for that one, because every day is so active in things you do and things that happen. Well, the thing that comes to the mind, the craziest thing I've seen on the road that comes to mind the quickest, is we seen a pickup truck, and I've got this picture still. A pickup truck, like a little small Nissan that had a cap on it, had two cabs that filled up the entire back of that cab of that truck. And you wondered how they even got the two cabs in there. These things must have been 300, 400 pounds each.
That happened to be in Eastern North Carolina, where I'm from, because you see a lot of crazy stuff like that in Eastern North Carolina. That's for sure.
I think it was Montana.
Now, what about off the road? Because y'all spend, I mean, it ain't just the driving up and down the road. Y'all spend a considerable amount of time at truck stops and, load yards and all that stuff. So what's the craziest thing you think you've seen off the road, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, we were in a truck stop, and this woman was like standing in the middle of in the middle of the parking lot, basically, and everybody was just trying to get around her and try to give her space. And then she laid down in the on the parking lot during the summer and started doing, like, you know how you do snow angels, and just started for no reason doing snow angels in the middle of the parking lot
Or people.
for all these trucks trying to get around her.
People are crazy, man. They get on, they get on drugs or something, or they do some of the craziest stuff. And now, I mean, you see a lot of that stuff on social media. When people, when people see that stuff happen, their video, next thing you know, it's on TikTok or whatever. So,
It actually it made Twisted Trucker.
Twisted Trucker. Is that, I need to follow that one. Like my two favorite Instagram accounts, and I'm not on TikTok, I mean, is Truck Driver's Life and 18 Wheels of Chrome. And that's where you see a lot of that stuff. So I'm sure it got reposted throughout that network of those accounts. So the next question is kind of a two-part question as well, is what's the most scared you've been on the road and off the road?
On the road, wintertime, when it's we've had, what happens is when you're getting into where the snow is moist and it's cold outside, it actually gets on your windshield and it sticks, and you lose all visibility. And you can't just stop because you got traffic behind you and you got traffic in front of you, and you can find God real quick, because it's in the wintertime every year, but it's just gotten worse, as the roads get worse and the states don't clean their roads as good. I really thought there was a couple times that's like, I don't know how we got through it without God, because I just don't know. It just, because there's like very little, I mean, probably 1 or 2% visibility.
Well, you nailed it, brother. I mean, God's the reason why you made it through that. That's for sure. So,
and
go ahead.
Scariest off the road.
Off the road, yeah. Because again, man, y'all are in some crazy places, middle of the night, all that stuff.
Trying to think. Sometimes when we get in some of these inner cities at night, you get into some bad neighborhoods. I can't really think of one particular event versus another. You'll get people moving around your trailer. And yeah, I think I remember one specifically. I had this guy started come up screaming at me about where I was parked, and there's not a whole lot we can do. I mean, because the size of the trucks, and this is where the truck's parked for this particular location. And I had this guy come up screaming in my window, screaming at my thing. I rolled the window down, and he started running his mouth, and truck driver, you can't lose face. You actually got to stand up. You can't just, and he's, well, I'm gonna go get mine, like he's gonna go get his gun. And I said, well, good, I got mine right here for you. Come on back. And I was hoping, God, I hope he don't come back, because I ain't got nothing.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to bluff, brother. You got to fake it till you make it,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and like, there are just so many thoughts that go through my mind about safety. And it's like, there's situations like that. And, they don't always turn out the way it turned out for you, and it's just, you guys are constantly putting yourselves in those types of situations. And, it's a true sacrifice. I mean, it really is. The next question is, what's the biggest problem that you face as a truck driver on the road?
probably one of the biggest things is the industry with these super carriers. These super carriers, they train somebody, and now that trainee, oh, I have my driver's license. Now I can go train, and then that person gets their driver's license, and then that person can go train, and you're whittling down all the experience that these drivers out here that have 5, 10, 15, 20 years experience, and then they get out here on the road and they do some of the stupidest things. And the prime example, and I will say this has happened to me more than once. These carriers basically think they can flip on their blinker and they're right beside you, and the space is now clear because they flipped their blinker on. I've been on multiple occasions from, I don't know what they teaching them, because they think they can flip on that blinker and I'm no longer there.
Yeah. So the biggest problem that you see is standards.
It's the way they train them now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the way they train them now.
Well, and it's my opinion. This is, of course, my opinion. I think that the driver shortage and driver turnover has gotten so great that, I think they, and again, my opinion only, they're taking what they can get. And, but I can totally understand where you're coming from with that. I mean, the FMCSA is trying to address the driver shortage by lowering the entry age with a little extra training. I don't know how much extra training, but there's some extra training. And I'm like, good Lord, if I were 18 years old or 19 years old, man, I don't feel that I knew how to drive and I grew up on a farm and all that stuff, but responsibility that y'all have, I was not mature enough to do that at that age.
I wasn't either. I was still raising all kinds of cane at that age. They've lowered the standards now where the trainer, when after you finish your basic training, you get your CDL, you have so much training you have to finish by actual practical experience. Well, your trainer doesn't even have to be up with you anymore. They can be in the bunk asleep. Now, you're telling me you don't even have a full-fledged CDL and you're driving alone without anybody up there helping you. That, to me, is considered very dangerous.
Got it. Well, so changing gears here, no pun. What's the most important thing to you as a driver?
Money. I'm not out here to see the country much anymore, because I've seen pretty much all of it. I enjoy, like I said, the amount of money we make out here. If you're with a decent company and a honorable company that's going to treat you fairly, you can make really good money out here. And in our times off, or when we don't have anything to work, we get to play and we get to have a lot of fun. But in the end, I used to say it's not about the money. It really is. And everybody will promise you this and that, and not everybody delivers.
Well, again,
they take advantage of the drivers out here so bad.
Well, again, not saying the carrier who you're pulling for now, but you've been with this carrier for a while, haven't you?
Total years, I'm almost at 14 years with this carrier.
Nice. Well, that says a whole lot, right there. Last question. And this is not directed at your carrier or any carrier. Well, I guess it's directed at all carriers or all fleets. What can fleets or carriers do to make your life on the road better?
Honesty.
All right.
Just plain out simple honesty. Don't tell me you're a Christian-based company, then you lie to me every time you open your mouth. And that's probably
I can get behind that.
Yeah. It's because the company I'm with now, unfortunately, the dispatcher I have, he'll give me, something will happen, and I was like, why are we sitting here all day? What's going on? And he'll actually back up an email showing me what he's doing and who he sent messages to. and why we haven't been gotten any information on a particular situation, he'll always back it up with an email showing me that he's doing all he can do. You got so many different, dispatchers, fleet managers, or what we call out here, travel agents, typically don't communicate what information the driver is looking for, and the drivers feel like we're the last line of any information. Nobody communicates to tell us anything, and communication is so important out here, and being truthful about that communication.
Nice. So it sounds like you got yourself a good one then.
Oh, yes, I do.
That's good. That's good to hear. Well, I'm gonna close this thing out and kind of end where I started and just say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for keeping this country moving, for hauling pennies to pharmaceuticals to whatever it is that you haul. Without y'all, man, none of us can walk into a Target or Walmart or a grocery store and get the stuff that we need. And I'm very grateful for that. And Robert, I appreciate you spending time with me. All right, y'all be safe out there. All right.
That's not a problem. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye now.
All right, bye-bye.